Well, I think that, it's one of those, I think that you have to prioritize, right?
Right.
And
Right.
so, obviously, if you're, um, after our whole conversation, your kids are a high priority, right? My kids are a high priority. I hope that most, if not all, parents have their kids at the top, of their priority list. And so, if it comes down to having to feed your kids, having to do things like that, man, I mean, you're gonna hustle. You're gonna do whatever you need to do to feed those kids and make sure that they're good. But like I was saying earlier, maybe they don't need 5 scooters or a hoverboard or whatever, you know
Right.
what I mean? And so maybe instead of buying that, $500 hoverboard or whatever, that I don't, maybe that was a week's worth of work or half a week's worth of work. I don't know. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Instead of spending that money on that, maybe you spend half a week with your kid. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And they would benefit from that more. And so all that to say, I think that it's not a quote that I don't even know who said it. I just heard it and it stuck with
It
me.
was probably
Is
Paul.
that it's well, there's a lot of with your kids. There's a lot more that's caught with the C than taught with the T. So there's a lot more that's caught than taught.
Interesting.
And so with your kids, I'm a firm believer that your kids are watching you all the time.
Yeah, they are.
And so um, when it comes down to how do you teach your kids not to chase paper, right? You do want them to know, like, hey, it's important to provide for your family, this, that, that. Dad's going to
Right.
work because he has
Right.
provided this, that. But at the same time, you don't ever want them to feel like that paper or that money is more important to you than they are. And that's a hard thing, right? That's a hard
That's a
thing
hard thing to
for
juggle.
kids to understand.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, that's a
Yeah.
hard. That daddy has to go to work. Slim shady. But I mean, it's literally one of those, like, daddy has to go to work. You stay here with your
Yep.
mom. And you will have to do that. But it's really you have to guard your yeses and your nos, right? Everything you say yes to over here, the opposite effect. Maybe you're saying no to time with your family because you're saying yes to more time at work or yes
Right.
to doing these other things. And so obviously you have to be intentional with things that you say yes to. But uh, one of the caught and taught thing, one of my favorite things that happened to me growing up, my grandfather, we grew up on a dead end street. This will tell you, we grew up on a dead end street. One side of the street was a junkyard with a big metal fence, like a big tin
Oh,
fence, so you
man.
couldn't see into the junkyard.
I think I remember you
And then
saying
we
this.
lived we lived on the other side of the street, and it was a dead end street. So it was literally like a whole street that, like, there's only like houses on the right side or
Yeah.
something. You know what I mean? And so whenever the trash man would come down there, trash man in a big trash truck. This is before they had a big arm that just dumped the trash
Yeah.
or whatever. He would go down there and he would have to take like a 50-point turn to turn around, turn the trash truck around. You know what I
All
mean?
right.
Um, but I'll never forget. I don't even know how old I was. I was probably 3, maybe 4. It's like one of my first memories. Maybe I was 5. But I remember looking out the window, and my grandfather had gone outside, and he was just sitting at the end of the driveway. You can't be looking at anything because there's a tin fence on the other side of the
Yeah.
street. Like, there's nothing
Yeah.
there. And he was waiting, and when the trash man pulled up, 2 trash men jumped off the back of the truck. He handed them both beers. He drank a beer with both of those trash men, and the guy that drove the truck, he turned the truck around and he came back. And I don't remember if he handed the guy that was driving the
Yeah.
truck a beer or whatnot. I'm just trying to
This
get,
was the 80s, man.
tease
It totally could have
yeah,
happened. Yeah.
yeah, it could have, but it's one of those, like, the 2 trash men, shook his hand, jumped on the back of the truck, and they drove off. But it was one of those moments where he didn't do that to teach me anything because he
He
didn't
didn't
even
even know
know
you
I
were
was looking
watching.
at him.
Yeah.
He didn't even know I was watching.
Right.
He, what I caught that day by him doing that was not, oh man, alcohol is bad, or grandpa might be an alcoholic. I caught the fact that it's like, oh, you're not better than the trash
No.
man.
You're taking care of your fellow
You're
man.
not.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're not better than
Yeah.
anybody. And so when it comes, when a young boy can catch something off of something that small, you start to realize like, oh, this caught and taught thing makes sense. So it's one of those, you, and I'm pointing at you, you're over there, but you know, it's one of those like, you taking time for self-care, whether it be, I know you talked about therapy here a couple episodes
Yep.
ago, whether it be therapy, whether it be your hour and a half to drum,
Yep.
whether it be you going outside and being a man and doing that woodworking like I saw you doing the other day. I hadn't even brought that up. And I was like, oh my, look at this man. Your brow was glistening.
Yeah.
You know,
In the garage, covered in sawdust. I built a fire that night.
Yeah,
Had a couple of beers.
Fought a grizzly.
I fought a grizzly in my backyard in Connecticut. Actually, it was a raccoon, but hey.
But you know, it's one of those, you doing those things may feel like you're taking, like, okay, I'm taking time away from my family. And that's where you and I were talking, that makes it hard, right? It's hard to step away. But by doing that, you're actually showing your kids like, this is okay.
Oh my God. Can you see? My mind is blown. This is literally, oh my God, what a wonderful way of putting it, because a couple of episodes ago, I don't remember which one it was, I was talking about this exact thing where I felt bad, right? I would come home and, you know, my kid's mom would say, you know, you need to go do something for yourself. And I was like, I've been gone 15 hours, 16 hours today. I don't want to go be gone again. But that's you're 100% right. And that's the thing that I learned is that, and that's such a great way of putting it too. No matter how long you're gone, at some point, you have to be gone a little longer, because you have to get away from the shit that makes you your job, right? Like you got to go, you have your thing, you have to go do it every day. You're away from your family, you're doing this thing, that's fine. But at some point, you still have to be away and go chop some wood in the backyard, or go play some drums, or go painting, or go drinking with your boys. You have to find something to do. And that's what I loved about what Evan said. He was like, just go do something, you know? But that's such a beautiful way of putting it. Holy shit.
But you're showing your kids that this is okay.